Good morning. So we are going for round 2 of trying to get a functioning toilet in Blondie. Last week didn't go very well. After we hauled up 25 steps and put the original toilet up here, we opened everything up and the tank was cracked. So round 2, we actually got a functioning toilet that is brand new, and I'm going to show you just a quick example on how to put a toilet together. As some people may not know, it is actually a very simple process to do. Most toilets will come in multiple pieces. You got your base, your tank, your lid. Sometimes your actual flushing mechanism has to be installed as well. Very simple to do, but we are going to start. Basically, this is your tank seal that goes on the base. Put that guy there. Grab our tank. Actually set that on there. Sometimes these seals have to get put on here first. Make it easier on myself. Okay, got a nice snug fit there. So once you get that, set that on there. Next, you have your bolts that go in there. They do have a cone washer, so they will go down from the top of the tank into the base of the toilet. It's kind of dark in there, so you can't really see in there, but there's 2 holes there. Pop those guys in there. The washer and the nut go on the bottom. Now, one thing to pay attention to is you want to kind of snug them finger tight. Don't over tighten them, as most toilets are porcelain and you can crack them. You don't have to go crazy on the torque on them. You will kind of know if you don't have them tight enough, you will obviously have a leak, and then you can just kind of go back in there, tighten them down as needed. A lot of times the toilet manufacturer will give you a plastic wrench, so that will kind of avoid tightening things down way too tight. So in this case, we're going to use it. We're basically going to go underneath there and tighten it. You can kind of see once your tank is level and you don't have enough play in there, then you should be tight enough. And once again, once the water fills up and you have a small leak, you can always hand tighten these just a little bit to snug them down. There we go. So we have that part on there. I'm not going to put the lid on there until we actually install it in the bathroom. But this one has the dual flush feature, where if you look here, once you push the button, it'll either do a full flush for your number 2, or if you just have number 1, use that one. So pretty simple. But same thing, there is a, I guess, wash lock ring on here. Take that apart, pop that in there, tighten it from the back side, and the lid is done. So maybe there we go. If I don't cross thread it. Get that once we get the toilet installed. The only other thing that usually comes in the kit, sometimes are provided, sometimes they're not, is a wax ring. We'll show you guys in the bathroom how to install one of those. Basically, this is what provides the seal from the base to your floor and your actual drain in the floor. So depending on your application, depending on if you have a very thick floor, they make these in certain sizes and thicknesses. So if you have to have an extra thick one, you can always get one fairly cheap, $5, $6, $7 somewhere in there. But they usually do come with brand new bolts as well. So you can put the new bolts into the flange, and I'll show you guys where that goes as well. Sometimes the existing bolts are already in there and you don't have to replace them, but they are very easy to replace if you need to. So the only other thing that we have left is to put our toilet lid on here. This one has a little gasket kit. Install there, install there. And same kind of deal. There is a plastic, nylon, I guess, washer and bolt cone side. The bolt goes on through the top. Rubber cone washer and seal on the bottom. Maybe, gosh darn it. There we go. And these usually only have to be finger tight as well. If the lid is a little bit loose, just tighten them to feel. Don't have to go crazy on them. There's that. And then they have these little covers that you can pop on there. Make it all pretty and fancy. So there's that part of it. We will go put the seal on there, and we're going to temporarily just set this toilet and hook the water up so we actually have a functioning bathroom in here. Once we do the tile, then we will pop the toilet off, reset it as a wax seal. We can always replace it. All right, so we got our toilet all put together, and as you can see, here is the toilet flange. So typically these bolts slide in and out. They have like a lock on them where I will show you guys. Looks like a T basically. And you can pound those out, kind of move them out, and then you can slide a new one in and then basically lock them in place. These are very stout. I'm not gonna mess with putting new ones on there as there's nothing wrong with them. So what we are then gonna do is grab our wax seal and basically just set that guy right there. Like I said, we're only temporary putting this toilet in here just so we can have some functioning facilities while we work here, as Jody loves to run to Casey's gas station every time she has to use the restroom. So once we have that, basically we are going to grab the toilet here, and as you can see, you got a hole on this side and the other side, and that's basically where your two pins or your bolts need to line up. We're just going to put a little bit of weight onto the toilet, and that's basically all you need to do in terms of setting it. Now, if we're going to put this permanently down, you do have some plastic washers and metal washers and some nuts that you basically put on both of those bolts. And the key is you don't want to over tighten them. Like I said, there is a happy medium. As long as you are tight and your toilet does not wiggle or wobble or anything like that, you're good to go. Now, in some instances, your floor might be a little bit unlevel. You can always put shims underneath your toilet to level it out, and then you can caulk around it once you're done. So other than that, we do have our water line back here. Certain toilets are going to have your fill for the tank back here. Now, this one had a plastic, I guess, can't see it right now, but there was a nut on here with a rubber seal. Here it is. Depending on the application, some people hardwire or hard plumb them in Otherwise, typically you're going to have this kind of hose fitting. So we took that off. We don't need it. It does have a rubber gasket on the inside. We're just going to hand tight this guy here for our supply line.
And why aren't we fully securing it today?
Don't need to. Because we're going to have to pop it off for when I do the tile, or when we do the tile in here.
Yes. I knew that. I wanted you to tell them. Yes. So we still have to do tile in here and the drywall. And so both of the drywall's coming up this weekend, and so is electrical's happening this week. And so once those two items are done, then we will be able to tile and really get the plumbing in there permanently. So
now this supply hose, I didn't know what size to buy because I didn't know exactly how it was going to fit. They do make different lengths, so obviously this is probably a little overkill for this toilet, but for the time being, until we get a different coupler or a different hose, this will work just fine. Secure all your fittings with a wrench. Make sure they're tight. Typically good to have another person when you turn the water on to make sure you don't have any leaks. So we are going to turn the water on and check for leaks and make this toilet functional for the time being.
And then Dave's going to christen it.
Maybe.